Boom. This is good. Boom. Okay. So, oh no, my notes are on my phone because I'm filming with my phone. I can't remember these people's names, but okay, yeah, I think I can. Wow, that was really high up in the audio levels I'm looking at. Okay, so I saw One Piece Red and Wakanda Forever, and two very different movies. Okay, so let's start with Wakanda Forever. It was good, but some parts were just completely confusing. The whole premise of this movie. Okay, first of all, it was okay. Overall, it was okay. The main actors were good. Sherry was a good actor. The guy who played M'Baku was good. They're all good acting wise, right? I didn't go out. I didn't leave the movie thinking, "Oh my god, that was a terrible performance," right? I didn't leave the movie thinking that. It was all good. What didn't make sense and what I think broke the movie, and I think why it won't make as much money as the last Black Panther. Number one is because Chadwick Boseman isn't there. It's not gonna make that same amount of money. Won't have that same impact. He's the one that did that. So already baseline, it's not gonna be as impactful as the first one, right? If you're thinking that going into it, it's not going to be. It just isn't, right? What is impactful is that beginning and the end of those sad tributes. Okay, that was sad as hell. Especially the last one because it's like the first one was good because it was like a funeral, but the last one especially because it's just spoiler alert. It's just him and Sherry. It's not really a spoiler. It's just him and Sherry, whatever. I forget how to pronounce her name, but it's just them with no music or anything, just over a fire, looking at each other, and like scenes from the last movie. She puts a necklace on him, so that part was sad. It's sadder, I think, than the beginning because it was just straight like it was a tribute, but it was like if someone died, you just saw a bunch of slow mo videos of them. Like that was what that was. So that was sad, but overall, very good acting. Action scenes, pretty great. I gotta say, if this is what they're gonna do with other X-Men characters that I see that they're doing, at least it seems like Kevin Feige is gonna restart the X-Men again, without Michael Fassbender and that whole group of fucking terrible X-Men. Thank God. Go back. Maybe that shows my age, but the older ones are better. That's just true. Even though I will say Apocalypse. Wait, was it Apocalypse? No, First Class was very good. As a standalone movie, that was very good. First Class was good. But fuck the rest. That was bad. The Fox X-Men, the old Fox X-Men, is where it's at. Motorcycle. But that's where it's at. Beside that, the action scenes were pretty great. And the flying around, Neymar flying around, definitely highlighted the movie for me. The rest was good. Again, this was all like an average movie. That's what this review is, basically. It's an average movie. It's pretty good. I don't think it's as good as the trailers were hyping it up to be. I don't think a lot of people are gonna like it, and there are a couple reasons for that. I'll get to that. So M'Baku, Sherry, they were good. Now Riri, the girl who I would guess most people don't know who the fuck this is, and the way that she's brought into this movie makes no sense. So there's another new character in this movie named Riri Williams, right? Which is brand new to movies, but in comic books, she's been around for a little bit, and she's basically the person that takes over the mantle. There's a lot of taking over of old mantles in this movie. It's a theme. Taking over the mantle of, what's his name? Iron Man. I forget his name. I'm not a Marvel. Here's the thing about this, right? I love Marvel movies. I do. But I'm not really a Marvel guy, so some of these names are gonna escape me. I'm a very surface level. If it's like a level 10 for most people who like really love Marvel, I'm like a 3. But like a 7 or an 8 when it comes to DC. So sorry if I could, I can't remember all these names off the top of my head, but she basically takes the mantle of Iron Man. How exactly? I forget. How who knows? I've read comic books with her, but not origin comic books. Or just I've read ones where she's just in action and is already doing her thing. So I don't know how, but that's who she is. So already when this movie started and she's introduced, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what's gonna happen. Okay, that combined with Shuri is her name. Yes, Shuri, talking about the suit in the beginning. One of these scenes. The whole point I'm saying is because I'm trying to give you the most interesting parts of this movie, because it was all very. The first act was mid, I gotta say. It doesn't really pick up until the second to last half. And the reason is because they really have to get you into this movie and believe that Shuri can be the next T'Challa, can be the next Black Panther, right? So they need to make you like, because she's not believable in this thing. She's a good actress. She's good, but she's not believable to be Black Panther, especially when she does become Black Panther, right? She still barely even wants to do it, literally from her own it's not of her own volition to even become Black Panther. Not really. It's kind of forced upon her because of the actions of Namor. She's forced to do it. She doesn't seem like she wants to do it, but she's forced to do it. So okay, back to the characters. Shuri, M'Baku, the mother, all very good. Yeah, the mother was very good, I would say. I was gonna say something else, but she's in the beginning I felt like she was putting it on a little strong, like, your brother died a year and a half. I'm like, all right, it is a comic book movie, guys. Like, let's not dwell too much on death, all right? You know what I mean? No, I get that he died, but it's like, we're harping on this death a lot. Like, is this whole thing gonna be sad? It kind of is, okay? The whole movie kind of has an air of sadness, which in a Marvel movie is like kind of new, honestly, to have a movie really based on like someone in real life. For this movie to be like this, it really could have only happened with someone passing away, because the vibe of this movie is completely different than the first, right? Because of his death. I think it almost changes completely everything, and obviously it does, but I think even a lot of the women characters, and that's something I saw, there are a lot of women characters in this, which is fine, but I think they were really planning on having T'Challa, the actor Chadwick Boseman, in it a lot. You know what I mean? Because without him in this movie, there are a lot of women in it, which is fine, but I think they were planning on having him, because him and M'Baku are literally the only two men in this whole movie. I mean, Riri's a woman, Namor is a man, and it's basically him like fighting. And it's funny because I thought, because it's a Marvel movie, when Namor started actually fighting her, Black Panther, Shuri as Black Panther, I thought he was gonna like pull punches, because it's like a Marvel movie. So I thought he was gonna like, I didn't think they were gonna show him actually punching, and they do, which kind of is like, kind of a unique thing. You don't see that a lot. Maybe, I hope you can't hear the garage opening and closing under me, but yeah, so I was kind of surprised about that, because you don't see that a lot. Even in comic books, sometimes you'll see artists kind of pull back, at least in Marvel, pull back from showing too many women characters fighting male characters. And I think in this movie they literally had to, because they had no other choice. They had no other actors. They weren't going to give it the mantle to M'Baku, right? But I'll get back to that too. Actually, no, I'll tell you right now. M'Baku at the end of this movie, not really a spoiler. You know what, fuck it. The whole thing's going to be spoilers. But M'Baku at the end of this movie, at the end of the movie, everyone's, she saves the day. She drives Namor back to the water. Again, but also Namor in the water, very good. His whole city, very cool. He is a very cool character. M'Baku at the end of this movie does that fight on the waterfall they do in the first one with T'Challa and the other guy, right? And they do it in the waterfall, he wants to be the next Black Panther. M'Baku, right, the other male character in this, does that. He goes, I want to challenge Shuri. And she doesn't show up. she doesn't show up at the end of the movie to do that fight. And I was like, what the hell? Why is she not? That's so strange. Why is she not here? And then a couple scenes before that movie, literally just a couple scenes, because it's all of the third act. There's this moment where Shuri's talking to Riri, right? And she's saying, because Riri's from America, right? She gets to Wakanda because the whole reason Riri's in Wakanda is because she built a machine for school that can detect your sorry, my computer paused for a second. Not uranium, what's it called? Their precious metal, whatever Wakanda's precious metal is, that black metal, they can. Oh, sorry, my computer's making a weird sound. But yeah, they can. She built a machine that can sense that no matter what, through all metals, through all water, and the reason why Namor even comes out is because he sees the machine, his people see the machine, and they realize what it does, and they think Wakanda made it at first, right? And they ask him, they go, we didn't do that, the Americans built a machine. Then he goes, get me the scientists who built this, and it's because I want to kill them, and if you don't, I'll come and invade your city, which ends up happening, of course, because Wakanda's like such good guys, they just won't kill this random American. It doesn't really make sense. That I think in real life they would just kill him, but kill her, like, because she's just like a high school student. Like, it really, in reality, they would just kill her. They would, right? But they don't in this movie. So of course, then they fight, blah blah blah. But so that's set aside, right? At the end of this movie, a couple scenes are very odd with Shuri because she's the only one in the scenes, and that may seem like no big deal, but there's two scenes in particular where they don't describe, people just walk around Wakanda looking the way they look. There's two scenes in particular where she's talking to one person, Shuri, the actress, talking to one person. The people around her, though, not the main actors, are wearing masks, right? They have on these like but they're like disguised as like something they do in Wakanda, but they're wearing masks. And there's another scene where she seems oddly alone, oddly alone. And then later actually found out that the actress in real life had this whole controversy where she didn't want to take a vaccine. So there are times where they had to literally film her. This is real. They had to really film her alone without anyone else. And so there are multiple scenes in this movie, which is hilarious to me now to think about, that she's with these people she's acting, and there are people with fucking masks on around her because she's not vaccinated. So in Marvel, now in real life, of course, it doesn't really matter at this point if you're no one's like, I'm not talking to you if you're not. But on a film set, Marvel, no one wants to get sick, millions of dollars on the line, and you got to remember this was filmed back a little ways back, so you also have to add that in. But yeah, that's why I thought it was weird. I'm like, it's odd, but it flowed. It wasn't too like, oh, she's alone, blah blah blah, It was fine, but that I did want to add that in because she was like alone in some points. Yeah, so those are the characters. Good characters, good acting. Action was great. I gotta say again, the action was great. Namor fighting in the air, fighting underwater. Very fun, very cool. The blue people looked really cool. Visuals, definitely 100% great. Marvel's visuals, though, always are pretty good. I was worried this was going to be a little too comic books accurate when I first saw it, especially when I heard that he was going to actually have wings on his feet. I was like, I don't know how that's going to work. But yeah, so that, and also speaking of Namor, the reason I brought up X-Men is because in this movie, he literally just says, I'm a mutant. I think it's the first time we've ever heard that word in a Marvel movie. Which also brings me to my next, I'll get to at the next topic, but after characters. He just says he's a mutant. First time we've ever heard that in the Marvel movie. Just someone just say, I'm a mutant. Because he's different than the rest of his people. He's like, he can breathe air, and he can breathe above the sea, under the sea, and he can fly, and he just says, well, I'm a mutant, which is odd. But that's okay. The rest of the women, I'm forgetting these names. The main bodyguard to the mother, right? Very good. I thought she was very good. The one living in Haiti that they go get, that left at the end of the other movie after T'Challa died. Um, they go get her. She's cool. All those extras are very good. All the women extras, very cool. They look cool. They fight. Very good. Right. Great. M'Baku and his guys, very good. So all those are great. Like they do a great job of making everyone look like they fit in Wakanda and can kick ass and do all that. So that's great. The characters in this movie were pretty spot on. And again, very comic books accurate. I gotta say, if you're going off of comic books accuracy, this movie was pretty great. Like comic book accuracy, minus everything else, right? If you just looked at this purely from comic book to movie, it's like close to a 10 visually. It's pretty great. From going comics to movie, this is like, and I don't think enough people are saying that. I think this is like up there with like the second that it's not the second, it's actually oh my god, I'm forgetting his name, the Thanos series, those two movies, right? That second one was like highly comic books accurate, especially when Cap called everyone in. Like that was great. This is up there with that, right? I think at the bottom you had that, the top you have that Avengers movie. The bottom you have one of the Ant-Man. Pick anyone, whichever, it doesn't even fucking matter. They're terrible. And also the ones coming are also going to be bad, I'm just saying. So that's good. Second, now here's the second part of this review, right? After all that was good. Now, but going off of comic book accuracy, I think Riri in this movie was a little underdeveloped as a character, right? They need to flesh her out more if they're going to use her, because I feel like that is a huge, and I don't even think people are talking about this, that's a huge addition to this. Two huge additions to this is that her and him saying that he's a mutant, right? Even though it's just one line, it's pretty big, because number one, Riri is a huge thing because Robert Downey Jr. is not coming back as Iron Man, right? That's not in the works. Captain America, what's his name? That actor, he may come back. He's like suggested. I don't think Iron Man's coming back, at all. Maybe in robot form, his voice, but he's not coming back. So Riri being in this movie is actually like huge. Like she's like who's supposed to be the next Iron Man, and I think they alluded to it because literally in the third act she has a Power Man suit. Maybe I'll put up the picture. I took a picture in the theater. She has a Power Man suit, right? It literally looks like Power Man. I don't know what even the Gatling gun. It looks like a combination of Pacific Rim and Power Man. Like if you just made it smaller to realistic human size. Like she's like the robot's like, I would say like, because she's like 5 something short, but the robot's like 6. So so if you take like a Pacific Rim robot, made it smaller, and then in the inspiration of Power Man, that's what that looks like, right? Especially that Gatling gun. I mean, that's straight out of Pacific Rim. I can't get that out of my mind. Pacific Rim is a great fucking movie. Yeah, so that's good. But I feel like they didn't tell. That wasn't big enough. That's a huge thing, right? So maybe another movie should get more fleshed out. It is what it is. Second thing I thought watching this movie is that Namor being a mutant, that I feel like also needed to be a little more like, that moment of him saying that was not a big deal to me. It didn't seem like a big deal, which I guess but you gotta think about what's happening in this movie, right? He's saying I'm a mutant, and the first person he says that to is Shuri. From Namor selling that to Shuri, like I would have never guessed if you told me years ago when I was a kid that how would X-Men be introduced in the Marvel movies, you know what I mean, in this new series of Marvel movies, like after Iron Man 1, if you're like, how do you think they're introduced to X-Men, I would have never thought ever that it would be Namor telling Shuri he's a mutant. Never. Like I would think like I don't even know if I just, that's just so wild to me what these movies have gotten to. It's crazy. Even Namor being a character in this, I think is like, I don't know. It's a strange. A pig, maybe not a strange pig. Maybe I'm crazy. I just feel like, is he going to be connected to the rest? Is he going to? Because he fights a lot with Fantastic Four, like with them. He even in the comic books cheats on Reed Richards. Cheats on cheat. He has an affair with Reed Richards' wife, the Invisible Woman, and so I don't know how they're gonna introduce him to the rest. That's interesting. This next phase of Marvel movies is really interesting with Neymar. I really want to know what they're gonna do, because I don't see how. What are they gonna do? They're just gonna pull him and be like, now you're a good-ish guy? Because he's always been like a guy that really is only on the side of his own interests and people, but he doesn't fully go bad most of the time. And when he does, it's like for this reason. It's because like no one's helping him. I don't know. It's just gonna be interesting what they do with him. Speaking of that, Fantastic Four. Introducing Neymar, now you have to introduce Fantastic Four. You have to. He's too involved with Reed Richards, with X-Men. He's too involved to not now show, to not now have a Fantastic Four movie. You can't, like, I don't know how they're going to, my thing is, I don't know how they're going to go on without showing you Fantastic Four at this point. I don't see what the next phase could be. What comes next after this movie? What do they, there has to be a Fantastic Four and like I don't know, a Young Avengers movie? I don't know, something. Who knows? Overall, the movie was pretty good. The actions were great. The characters it's mid. My thing is this: visually, it's a 10. Everything else makes it like a 7. And really a 6, to be honest with you. There's some acting choices, some continuity choices that I didn't like. There was one scene where they're they're not racing, they're running from the cops, and Shuri puts this automated thing on her bodyguard's car, and they end up arriving at the same place, but the reason she put it on there in the first place was to help her. I didn't get that, because she puts it on, she's like, and then she drives away on a bike, right? She puts it on her bodyguard's car, and then she goes, okay, gotta go. And then her bodyguard's like, I could drive myself. But hey, they end up going to the same place, and I have a hard time believing that she wouldn't have just driven herself. It's an odd choice. It was an odd choice. I have a hard time believing, because the way she makes it seem is like she's incapable of driving herself and being able to get away from the cops, but she like fully is able to. You know what I mean? It was just an odd choice, I thought. Yeah, there's some continuity stuff in here. I don't know. How did they get into the middle of Virginia? I mean, I guess they flew. Yeah, I guess they flew. All right, well, they do show that ship. How did they get into the middle? How did they get a ship into the middle of the sea and not have a backup plan to fly away? You guys know you can't swim like that. So that was odd. I don't even know how they all got back, now that I think about it. I don't know. So yeah, overall 6. Visually though, a 10. Like, if you just visually look at this movie, it's a 10. What else? That's it. No T'Challa. Honestly, it would have literally just been an 8 if he was there. But of course he can't be there, R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. He really made Black Panther what it is, because it is not the same without him. And again, not terrible, but it's just not, the vibe is missing completely. The vibe's missing. Yeah, so that's that. The second movie that I liked more overall was One Piece Red. I mean, there isn't even too much I have to say about this movie. You like One Piece? Watch this movie. It's great. The music is great. UTA, people call her in the movie. UTA, they chant UTA. I did see the English dub version. I did not feel like reading, okay, because I knew I was going to have to go sneak into, because this movie I actually saw before Wakanda. So I knew I was going to have to go sneak into a Wakanda showing, right? Which is why I missed the first 15 minutes. So I knew I was gonna have to go do that. So I'm like, I don't want to read. This is too much. I'm gonna have to go into a 2 hour. By the way, Wakanda Forever too fucking long, too long. I know I just didn't want to put. There was too much effort. I was like writing notes in the theater. By the way, only one in the theater. Again, that's happened. And also when I saw Wakanda, I'm sure these teenagers were fucking behind me. I think I heard it. I think I heard it, which I've never done. I've always been jealous of people who I've heard story. I've never done that. I've never done that. I would love to experience that myself, but never done it in a movie theater. I feel like so many people have though, and every time I'm like, what? I don't want to be that close to someone else, and it's always feels so weird to me. The public places and things people doing, but I'm like, I don't want like the movie's like not the cleanest anyway. I'm like, not the place for it. I'd rather go in a fucking park than the movie. I'm like, ugh, it's still. And then I'm thinking, what girl thinks this is romantic? I'm like, I don't. It's just like the movie theater is like the last place I'm like, oh yeah, let's. And also, now that I know from my friend working at a movie theater that there's a fucking camera at the top of the movie screen looking directly at you and with like this black and white, not infrared, but like a black and white not filter, I forget what it's called. It's like night vision, except it's not like the movies. It's not like green and you know, like you see people's heartbeat. It's like black and white and like glowy. You know, the white is very glowy. It's hard to describe. You gotta look it up. But once I learned that there's a camera there, I always knew someone in the back running the film was watching, and I always knew, even from a kid, that occasionally workers would come up the stairs just to make sure everything's like okay and no one's like really going crazy. Which is how I got caught throwing popcorn to my brother one time, because we were also in the movie theaters alone one time, and I literally was like chucking popcorn. I was like in the middle of the upper row, and he was standing right behind the screen, his back touching the screen. We're just throwing popcorn as hard as we could. Yeah, that was fun. What else? That was funny because my dad was in another movie theater, and he had just left us in this movie. I forgot what movie he was watching. I never forget when my dad saw Red Tails, and he was like, "This is good." I'm like, my dad saying Red Tails was a good movie has shocked me. My dad has crazy movie taste. I mean, some movies you would think like, yeah, he'll really like it. Like one of my dad's favorite movies is Looper. Favorite. It's a good movie, but he's seen a lot of movies. I mean, this man has seen every James Bond movie, and he thinks this man has seen. I mean, he's seen a lot of great movies, and Looper is one of his. I don't judge. What was I gonna say about One Piece Red? One Piece Red. I don't have too much to say about One Piece Red. If you like One Piece, it's great. No one's out of character in this movie. I wanted to say too. Sometimes in One Piece movies, characters will feel a little bit out of character, like they're not fully supposed to be, like Luffy or like Robin. Like sometimes they'll be a little bit out of character. I call it movie character, to where they're like the character, they might make them a little more cinematic, or they'll be like, it'll be different, or sometimes they're not as like quirky as the TV show. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I feel like people will watch One Piece movies and One Piece know what I'm saying. Sometimes the movies feel a little bit out of character. This one felt very in character. I liked it a lot. The music was great. Every time she sung a song, it was like a music video, which was very cool. I also like that they weren't in English, that they were not in English. You know what I mean? I like that when the songs came on, they were in original Japanese. I think it gave it a good vibe. Like I said, I saw the English dub, and I was kind of worried about that, but I like that it was a Japanese original song, because I like that. There were two songs in here that were really great. The one, I think it's like the third song she sings. It's like in the very beginning, very good. It has a hip hop kind of feel to it. And the last one, very sad and very good. Everything about this movie is great. The music monster, really fun, really cool to watch. Shanks is in this movie. Shanks and his whole crew's in this movie. Usopp, what's his name? Usopp You stop. His dad is in this movie too. I always fuck with him. You know, I like him. He doesn't get enough lines, but they're in this movie. They do that thing where they see through each other's eyes. They've done that like once before. Not once before, I think more than once. Yeah. Kaido, I'm getting these names wrong. I'm very sorry. Kaido, he's not in this movie, unfortunately, but it's okay. He doesn't have to be in every movie. I would like him to be. But you don't have to, I guess. Also, I don't know if the same voice actor who originally voiced Shanks is in this one or not, because he sounds like he has not aged. Because that was like 20 years ago, maybe 20 plus years ago, when that first episode of, in the first season, I don't know what episode exactly, but the first season of, oh my God. This movie, okay, One Piece. Oh God, I'm forgetting. One Piece. Sorry, I had a lot to do yesterday. I still have stuff to do. I have to finish this and go read some of psychology paper for class. Ugh, too much. I don't read psychology. It's all that has nothing to do with what we're doing. I don't know if it's the same one because he looks young. Sounds young. Like he hasn't aged a day. I just imagine all these people are 50-year-olds whose voices are just immaculate, and they only drink water, like from the best tablet, because voice actors, I'm sure, have some type of shit they do to keep their voice perfect, pristine. Yeah. So that's that. I thought it was a great movie overall. What else can I say about this movie without really spoiling? That's the thing. Whatever I say about this movie is just the action is great. Okay, great action. That final scene of them fighting and they're seeing through each other's eyes and they're coordinating attacks, and the environment, the animated environment they created was so good, and it was really good. The great visuals in this movie, great. One Piece Red, you did it. That was good. Producers, that was top notch, and every trailer before this I wanted to see. I don't know, I forgot half the names of those movies, but there was like 4 trailers before this for all animated movies. They all look good as hell. I'm telling you, these anime studios, the US needs to get on that. American anime needs to fucking step it up, man. Some of these trailers look good as hell, and they're all Japanese. I'm like, God damn, man. I mean, if I lived in Japan, I'd be going to the movies every day. Yeah, you need to step up your animation, America. Yeah, that's it. Great movies. Mid movie and a great movie. You decide which one I'm talking about. That's it. Thanks for watching.